Kushina started at him, then stared at Kasumi, who seemed equally confused as Naruto. She sighed. Don't tell me you both didn't notice the Uzumaki life-binding seal on your necks. I told you that true Uzumaki lovers get the bloodline from the Uzumaki girl, and are bound to each other so that they are not separated if one of them dies. Both of them stared at her. Wait, so I have the same bloodline as Kasumi-chan now? Naruto asked. Yeah, you will need to learn how to use it though. Regeneration, aging and blood healing are now added to your abilities, Kushina clarified. Kasumi then asked something none of them wondered about. Does that mean I get Onui-chan's bloodline too? Silence met her statement. Kushina finally broke it. I don't know Kasumi-chan. Life bonds are extremely rare to occur in the first place, as both the lovers need to love each other unconditionally, and the girl should be an Uzumaki. Uzumaki women almost never married outside the clan, or it was extremely rare. Add to that the fact that I don't know any Uzumaki male that activated his bloodline other than Naruto-kun. Kasumi sighed. So we don't know. Yeah, Kushina said in disappointed tone. Don't worry, sis, you have me, the greatest medic nin in history, to perform experiments on you to find out. Natsumi cheerfully added. Kasumi snapped back. I am not a lab rat, Oni-chan. And you sound like Orochimaru when you say experiments. Well, I have been going through his research, and I must say it is interesting. Silence. What? Don't look at me like that. Nina-san gave me the books. Kushina sighed. What exactly did you study from them, Natsume-chan? Well, there were the possible procedures of how to transfer bloodlines to someone without any in the first place. There were notes on how he tried doing so with Hashirama's Mokuton, but I found a lot of errors in them. Orochimaru wasn't a good medic, it seems. From what I could see, most of his experiments would have died from the sheer pain induced by the procedure. Kushina nodded. Orochimaru's experiments were considered inhuman, and he didn't really achieve much from them. Not that I know of. But did you get any useful information from those documents? Natsumi nodded. Yeah, I can detect and identify bloodlines from a blood sample. Kushina grinned. That's great. Then you take a blood sample from Kasumi and analyze it. We can then see if she got Rinnegan or something from Naruto. Yes, mother, she responded. Naruto, who had been silent for the whole conversation, voiced his opinion. Kasumi-chan, look here. Huh? Tsukiyomi? Goddess of the moon. Tsukiyomi world. She felt her world shift, and then found herself in front of Kinbai Hitomi and Naruto. She looked curiously at them, then tilted her head to the side questioningly. Kinbai Hitomi cleared her throat and spoke up. Ahem. I asked you to be brought here, Kasumi-chan, because as you know, I can feel everything Naruto feels, so... I know, she said. This, of course, shocked both Naruto and Hitomi Kinbai. And? Naruto asked. Kasumi sighed. Well, since Onasan-chan didn't seem to have any problem with it, I didn't object. It wasn't like we could do anything about it, and I wasn't going to keep Onui-chan away from me just because of that. That's it? You are not mad at me? Hitomi asked disbelievingly. I guess. It wasn't like you actually did anything to me. And it was with Naruto's consent, so yes. Naruto looked sheepish at that. Actually, it never crossed my mind. Kasumi shook her head in disappointment. You are just so dull sometimes, Onui-chan. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Consider it an extra benefit you get from us, Kaibai-san. I only really care about you because you are a part of Onui-chan. Kinbai Hitomi bit her lower lip before asking, So, you're going to let him do it again, yeah? Whenever he wants, I told him that already, she replied without hesitation. Kinbai whooped with joy. Yeah. Both of them stared at her. What? I like how she feels. It's not my fault, she pouted. Don't get too excited. I don't mean to let you have anything from me. Not anything so intimate. It's only because it cannot be avoided that I'm okay with it. I understand, Kibai replied, while Naruto looked a bit uncomfortable. Kasumi seemed deep in thought for a minute. Can you do something for me then, Kibai-san, in exchange for what you get from me? You can call me Hitomi. And what is it? I will, if I can. I want you to give Natsume the Sharingan if possible. Sure, Hitomi agreed. Really? Yeah, it's not that hard. I get bored in here anyways. It was fun playing around with Naruto's DNA for a while, trying to find out new abilities of his bloodline, but soon they ran out. Now I am kinda bored here on regular basis. Half an hour of work with Natsume on implanting Sharingan will keep me from getting bored. She grinned. I can't believe it is just that easy. Why don't you give it to Kei-chan too? Well, she is a grown-up. Your body needs to be used to Sharingan to be able to utilize it efficiently. Natsume is 14. If she was even a year older, I would have said no. Kushina, Nina, and anyone older than 16 or so is a big no. They just won't be able to adapt to the bloodline at their age. Even though they both look 19, their bodies are developed completely. No space for me to work with their DNA. All right, thank you so much. Hitomi-chan? Kasumi smiled happily. Yeah, just make sure you work more with his chest area next time. You left it out. But I am not saying you weren't great. That was by far the best I have ever felt. If I knew something could feel that good, I would have become your slave just for that. Kasumi looked embarrassed, while Naruto looked even more uncomfortable. Hitomi-chan, what about the thing you were telling me? Hitomi froze as she remembered, while Kasumi looked confused. What is it? She asked. Hitomi looked really nervous before she started speaking. Well, when Madara took Izuna's eyes, it not only broke the blinding seal, but also evolved his Sharingan to the final level. If you got the bloodline transfer of Sharingan from your brother, you will get the eternal Manchikyo Sharingan. You will never be able to give birth to a child, as that stage will freeze your body into its current state. Kasumi didn't speak anything. After about 5 minutes, the other two were getting really worried. Kasumi-chan. Let's just hope it didn't happen then, she finished before turning around. Naruto sighed tiredly and released Tsukiyomi. What's wrong? Natsume asked when she saw the pained look on Kasumi's face. Kasumi flinched. I don't want to talk about it. Natsume nodded, a bit confused. But she won't bug her about it if Kasumi was uncomfortable about something. It was rare for her to keep anything from them, so she probably had a good reason. After everyone finished their ramen, everyone bid good night to each other. Auntie-sama. Yes, Kasumi-chan. I'm really sorry. But would you mind if I sleep with Ka-chan and Natsume-chan tonight? Of course, not Kasumi-chan. Do you want to talk about it alone? He asked, somewhat worried for her emotional state. She shook her head in negative. Giving him a goodnight kiss on the lips, she went to where Kasumi and Natsume had gone to sleep. Naruto sighed wearily. This day sucked for me. Oh well, that just means I will have a good day tomorrow, I hope. Chapter 12. Revelation. As Naruto woke up the next morning, he felt something warm move over him. Upon opening his eyes, the familiar flowing crimson hair confirmed his suspicions. He frowned as he watched her sob in her sleep. Seems she couldn't sleep with Ka-chan and Natsume-chan. Probably cried herself to sleep here. I wonder if it was really a good idea to tell her about it. He felt Hitomi mentally shake her head. She had the right to know Naruto-kun. At least this way she won't be completely shocked when she finds out. Though personally I am hoping it doesn't happen at all. Naruto nodded sadly. Did you find out anything about it, Hitomi-chan? No, Naruto-kun. How the Uzumaki life bonding seal works is way beyond me. It would take someone with genetic skills better than me, and sealing skills like the Sixth Path Sage to decipher this one. She finished with a disappointed sigh. He was probably the one who made it, Naruto agreed. He rubbed Kasumi's back to comfort her as she started sobbing in her sleep. Looking at the clock, he noticed it was almost morning. He sighed and leaned in, kissing Kasumi on the lips, then shook her gently. "Wake up, Kasumi-chan." Kasumi woke up within a few moments, quickly wiping away the tears she felt on her cheeks. She didn't want Naruto to worry about her. "I am sorry, Anae-chan. I couldn't sleep without you there," she started explaining. Naruto interrupted her by shaking his head. "It's alright, Kasumi-chan. I like having you with me whenever possible." Naruto frowned upon seeing her nod but not smile at him like usual. "Kasumi-chan, what's going on in that silly head of yours?" he asked seriously. At first she opened her mouth to say it's nothing, but upon seeing how sincere Naruto looked, couldn't lie to him even if it meant he will get worried. So she hesitantly began, "Anae-sama, will you still want me? Even if I can't give you children?" Naruto only held her tightly against him. "Silly girl, you think I will stop loving you because of such a simple thing? How long have we been together? Since before we were born. Do you think our relationship will end by such a simple thing? Don't be stupid, Kasumi-chan. I will always love you. You should know by now, if I wasn't unconditionally in love with you, the seal on both our necks would never have formed. If we can have children, great. If not, then that's okay as well. It is you I want the most." Kasumi nodded against his chest, her heart fluttering with every word he spoke. "I'm sorry for doubting you, Anae-sama." She wrapped her arms around him. She really didn't want to be separated from him even last night, but had gone to sleep with Natsumi and Kushina because every time her eyes landed on him, she was reminded that she might not be able to bear his children. She looked directly in his cerulean blue eyes and whispered softly, "Make me forget it. Anae-sama." Lemon warning. Incest. Naruto smiled at her, and then moved his hands to start undoing her semi-transparent nightgown. Once she was only in her underwear, he picked her up and set her down on her back, then got on top of her. He couldn't help but grin in anticipation as he saw her beautiful form lying below him, long crimson hair flowing in all directions. "Don't restrain yourself this time, Anae-sama. I want to forget everything for now." Growling ferally, no longer wanting to control himself either, he tore her lingerie away. Kasumi kept her eyes half-lidded and made no protest to any of his actions. After he had hurriedly taken his own clothes off, he grabbed both her hands with his left hand and held them above her head before capturing her lips with his in a passionate kiss. Kasumi's tongue easily submitted to his, but kept massaging him nevertheless. Using his right hand, he positioned himself at her only slightly wet entrance. She wasn't properly prepared yet, but he had no patience to wait. Like Kimbai had warned him, bottling up his lust for a day had dulled his restraints. He rubbed his tip against her entrance a few times, making her squirm beneath him. Then he started inserting his long, thick dick in her tight body. Kasumi couldn't help but scream out involuntarily in pain as she felt herself being filled by her brother. He shut her up by kissing her roughly and shoving his tongue down her throat. Once he had completely bottomed out in her, he waited for a while to regain his senses. She did say not to restrain himself, so unless she stopped him, he had no qualms about doing almost anything right about now. "Take me, Anae-sama. Do whatever you want," she whispered to him huskily, turning him on even more. Finally, completely abandoning caution, he pulled out his entire length and shoved it back into her deliciously tight cavity. Without waiting for any further approval, he started pumping in and out of her at a ruthless pace. Within a few minutes of furious pumping, Naruto grunted as he blasted 2 days' worth of pent-up seed inside Kasumi. Kasumi felt a tear slide down her face as her brother pumped her full of his cream. She hadn't been in this much pain or pleasure before, but she needed it. She needed to forget that she might not ever be able to be a mother. She whimpered as he continued filling her up and fucking her. Just to make sure he did his job like she wanted him to, she further encouraged him. Fuck me, Anaya-sama, fuck me till you are satisfied. Fuck me any way it suits you. Fill me up with your cum till I can't take it anymore. Not having the slightest intention of stopping anytime soon, Naruto decided to do just that. He picked Kasumi up from below him, got off the bed and slammed her against the wall, never once withdrawing out of her. He started pumping her again, while his hands and mouth worked on her breasts. Giving in to his demonic instincts, he bit down hard on her left breast, causing her to cry out. The mark he left would have been permanent, but thanks to Kasumi's bloodline healing, it disappeared within moments, causing Naruto to growl. He slammed into her harder than before, letting loose a grunt as her extremely tight walls clamped up on him. He grinded their groins together. Kasumi wrapped her legs around him as she felt her first orgasm pass through her, sending waves of pleasure through her pain-clouded mind. Don't you love me, Oniki-sama? Show me how much you love me, she whimpered in his ear. He growled into her ear, wrapping his hands around her. He pulled her towards him at the same time as he slammed into her, grunting in effort to not blow his seed in her then and there. Damn it. She is as tight as she was when she was a virgin. I guess her regeneration prevents her from getting loose. No matter. I won't slow down regardless of how tight she is. Not bothering to waste any more thought on it, he slammed all of his 10 inches inside her, hitting her womb with his tip, making her scream. He withdrew all the way out, till only his tip was in her, only to slam back again, thrusting forward even after completely filling her, grinding their groins together. He continued thrusting in and out of her at this pace, enjoying the tightness and warmth of his sister. Kasumi was in a world of pain and pleasure, though admittedly the pain was a lot more than pleasure as of now, just like she wanted him to do it. Within 10 minutes he reached his limit again. He looked at Kasumi, who seemed dazed, and grinned in victory. I'm going to fill you up good today. Kasumi-chan, you are not getting out of this easily. He slammed with all his might into her before blasting sizzling hot and thick ropes of his semen deep into her. He channeled some of his yoki towards his balls, accelerating the production rate drastically, before pulling himself out an inch. On-ni-sama! Kasumi cried out as she felt herself getting filled up completely by his boiling hot seed. She could feel it as he filled her pussy and then moved into her womb, filling it up with the hot fluid. It was excruciating as well as highly erotic for her. He slammed back again, this time with even more effort. He tightened his hold on her, holding her against him as tightly as possible, not letting even the slightest chance of her getting away. Kasumi's eyes widened as he continued to come in her, unconsciously channeling yoki into his sack. For full 2 minutes he held her there, and kept pumping his seed in her. She felt herself getting filled up more and more. She didn't even know how she was able to contain it all. Kasumi didn't feel the need to tell him anything this time. It was quite clear to her that her brother was not going to let her go till he was satisfied. Naruto picked Kasumi up before turning her away from him, causing a twisting motion in their joining. Some more of his cum dribbled out. Kasumi was close to fainting, but she resolved to stay conscious and satisfy her brother. Even if she couldn't bear his children, she would at least make him happy. On-to-sama, she moaned. Naruto held her there and pulled out his cock from her cum-filled pussy, causing some of his semen to leak out of her. He rubbed the head of his cock against Kasumi's ass, and then poked her asshole with his slick cock. She moaned in approval. You don't need to ask, Anui-sama. I told you you can do whatever you want with me. I'm yours. Naruto grinned in approval at her words. He started sliding his pole, coated with their combined juices, slowly in her virgin ass. It took all his willpower to control his demonic urge to just plow in her and bang her till satisfaction came. Kasumi bit her lower lip to keep herself from screaming in pain. She hadn't had anything up her ass before, not even a finger. It felt like he was tearing her apart. It took a full minute for him to completely enter her ass. He grunted at the delicious tightness and warmth Kasumi was providing him. She is even tighter here. Taking himself out a bit, he entered her again, building a slow and steady pace. After 10 or so thrusts, he lost control and started to bang her ass without a care in the world. Picking up Kasumi, he moved towards the bed and settled her down on her hands and knees. He then got behind her and, without warning, started to pump in and out of her at a rough pace. "Anu-sama," Kasumi gasped out in surprise, before lowering her head in submission. Naruto didn't care about anything right now. He had full intention to completely satisfy himself for the first time in his life. Last time he had controlled himself, this time he couldn't. He leaned over her and reached around to grope her breasts, to which Kasumi moaned in approval. Continuously pumping in and out of her ass, he felt himself nearing climax again. After a few more minutes of riding, he once again unconsciously channeled some yoki to his balls, accelerating his semen production. Within a minute, he grunted in pleasure as he felt the pent-up semen being released deep inside Kasumi's bowels. Kasumi felt herself getting filled up to her limits, but he was not done yet. Once again, he started to pump in and out of her still extremely tight ass. He hadn't even stopped coming yet. 30 minutes later, Kasumi's bowels were overflowing from her brother's semen. He had banged her 6 more times in the ass, seemingly addicted to it, and each time the amount of seed he pumped into her had been far more than she can handle. I guess I learned why I should never tell Anui-sama to do whatever he wants with me. But that doesn't mean I won't tell him the same next time. She looked around and saw her brother still pumping in and out of her. Her vision was starting to darken. "Oh, Anui-sama, I don't know how much longer I can hold on," she gently admitted. Naruto sighed. "Just one more time. Kasumi-chan," he pleaded, still pumping in and out of her. "All right, Anui-sama," she submitted between her gasps. An hour later, Kasumi was lying unconscious on Naruto's bed, his semen leaking out of all 3 orifices. Naruto sighed and shook his head. He hadn't been able to not ask for one more time again, and she agreed every time, until finally, she had lost consciousness. Warning. End. He relaxed himself a bit on the bed. He finally didn't feel the need to mate as strongly as he had been feeling for the past 2 days. "Do you think I went a bit overboard with her, Ki-chan?" She asked for it, and she needed to forget about that and get a good sleep, which you gave her. And she does have her bloodline to heal her within the next few minutes from the minor damage. It's not like she is wounded or anything. Naruto had to agree with Hitomi, and making her sleep peacefully felt damn good too. He hoped that his Kaya-chan decided to join them soon, though. He didn't want Kasumi to take this much every night, and controlling himself all the time was damn frustrating. A few hours later, the entire Uzumaki family was sitting outside Natsumi's lab, waiting for the results of Kasumi's blood test. Kasumi was particularly nervous, and was holding on to Naruto tightly. Others noticed she was more nervous than she should have been, but didn't comment on it. I wonder what got her that scared, Kushina thought. A few more minutes later, Natsumi got out of her lab, back a long report of some sorts. She had a grin on her face, which probably meant she had good news. "This is incredible, Naruto-kun, Kasumi-chan." Natsumi started, barely restraining her excitement. Kasumi held on to Naruto with even more fright. Incredible could mean she got the advanced bloodline from Naruto, which would mean that she lost the ability to give birth. No, she thought frantically. She never really told anyone about this, but she always loved the aspect of becoming a mother. Kushina was her idol, through and through, and she was her mother. Naturally, she wanted to be one as well. When Kushina had told them that she hoped to see Naruto and Kasumi have kids, it became one of the primary aims in Kasumi's life, without her even noticing. She had never come so close to getting her dreams completely shattered as she was now. She had so few to begin with. All I wanted was for me and my family to have a nice, happy life. Ka-chan can't be happy if we can't have kids like she wanted. Ani-chan doesn't deserve a broken woman like me. Naruto held onto his sister firmly. She was shaking in fear of what she might hear next. He could understand that. Kasumi said. She didn't want to be a mother yet before only because she was too young and wanted to have more experience before she started taking care of a child. But to not be able to have a child at all, that would kill a part of her. Her confidence and attitude will all but shatter. Kasumi-chan, are you feeling all right? Kushina inquired, worried by her daughter's strange behavior. Kasumi didn't seem to hear her at all, fixed on what was going to come from Natsumi's mouth, as if it was a judgment that she was going to pass on her. Naruto decided to answer his mother's question so as not to worry her more than she already was. She is fine, Kao-chan. You will know shortly why she is worried. Kushina nodded and looked at Natsumi to continue her explanation. Natsumi opened her report, which seemed to be about 40 pages thick. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it seems the seal actually completely modified your genes. The males contain XY chromosomes, and females contain XX chromosome. To put it simply, even though your bond strengthened the Rinnegan part in the Y chromosome, Kasumi simply cannot have it. Her children, on the other hand, will be much more likely to activate that Dojutsu. As far as the Kanzen Tentai is concerned, it does seem to have improved a little bit. There is also another thing. Your affinities changed. She paused, reviewing the reports once more. What are they now? Kushina asked excitedly. Natsumi started going through her report. Well, first off, you still have your first 3 elemental affinities intact: water, wind, and fire. Now, however, I don't know how this happened, but I suspect a tiny fraction Naruto-kun's Yogen got into you, if only partially. You have Hayaton Ice, Water Wind, Futen Boil, Water Fire, Netsuton Heat, Wind Fire, and this one is really weak, but it is there, Corrosion Release, Wind Water Fire. I have never heard of anything like it before. By now, everyone's eyes were wide, but Kasumi was happy for an entirely different reason. You didn't notice any improvement in Sharingan? She asked with barely restrained excitement. Nope, Natsumi disappointingly replied. She expected Kasumi to deflate a bit on hearing that, but what happened was exactly the opposite. Kasumi squealed with joy and kissed Naruto full on his lips, slipping her nimble tongue in his mouth and pressing herself against him. It didn't take long for her to get Naruto hard, so within moments she felt his long tool pressing against her. Naruto turned her around and let her grind against his member against her ass. All the while they continued kissing while Naruto groped her breasts. Naruto had been expecting it the moment. Natsumi's answer became obvious, so he was not surprised to say the least. He knew how to read his twin sister good enough by now. When the twins began heavily making out in the middle of the room, everyone else, which was Kushina, Natsumi, and Nina, were confused beyond reasoning, and turned on too. Kasumi had a stronger and better reaction to not having the next level of Sharingan than she had for all other advantages combined. The bad news made her happier than the good news. What the fuck? And it made her horny, was the thought running through their heads. After 5 minutes or so, Kasumi calmed herself down a bit. As much as she wanted to, Naruto wasn't going to take her again before the night after all. The punishment earlier that day? Unless, of course, he really wanted it. She won't deny him then. Naruto grinned at his twin. She was glowing with joy. It felt to Naruto like a weight had been taken off his chest as he saw her smile vibrantly at him. He had been worried that he had been too rough on her earlier that day, but when she had woken up again and started to sob softly, it was clear that if he hadn't done that, she wouldn't have gotten the little sleep that she did get that day. And even if he wanted to, her constant encouragements to let go were too much to resist. I am so glad that she didn't lose her ability to bear children. She would have been devastated. Hitomi gave him a mental nod. I know. I don't know how I would have forgiven myself knowing it was me who gave her that curse, even though I didn't mean it to act that way. There was little chance of her Sharingan evolving that way, but it was there, so we had to warn her. Now we know that the only way for it to activate would be either she goes to extremely high levels of stress and activate it traditionally, or I activate it manually. That's a great thing, Hitomi-chan. I don't know what I would have done if Kasumi behaved that way for too long. It hurt so much to see her that vulnerable and broken. Those words made some really unpleasant memories to come to him. Flashback. Giggles and laughter resounded through the area as a cute little 3-year-old blonde boy was playing with a cute little 3-year-old redhead girl in one of Konoha's more cheerful public parks. But the people didn't think it was cute at all. From their point of view, it was hideous. That thing was mocking their children by acting like a kid, and their hero by looking like him. And that other thing, it was putting everyone around her in danger by just existing. Who knows when she will go boom? 9 tails of demonic power flowing in all directions, killing their children and loved ones. How dare they move around among them like they belonged there? They should be dead, or at least as far away from them as possible. The people were glaring or spitting in the twins' direction. They could mutter curses, but they couldn't do any physical harm. It was against the law. How unfair it was that even demons were protected by the law. The 2 little young ones were oblivious to the hatred directed at them. Why should they care anyway? They had each other. Being best friends, they were as happy as they can be, just being left alone and having fun. The kind old man their mother had left them under the care of had taken them to such a nice place and told them to play. He was such a nice person. They would have to tell him that no one except their mother was nice to them, so he must be really nice. The old man told them this was how normal kids had fun, and it was great. There were swings and slides and other fun things. What a nice place. They would have to come here often. They will ask the old man to stay here too, next time. He should have some fun too, but he said he had work to do. Why do the older people work all the time anyway? It sounds so boring. As the oblivious children continued to play, the anger level of their surroundings kept on increasing. It was the first time in 3 years after the incident that these 2 had been seen without the formidable Uzumaki Kunoichi protecting them. Even though they were protected by the law, not everyone has to follow the law, especially in an opportunity as rare as this one. Who cares what happens to those 2? No one, really. The Hokage might, so they thought. But the Civilian Council makes decisions on civilian matters like this one, a civilian assault on 2 civilians. And they knew the Civilian Council would support, or even encourage them if they hurt the blonde. Hurting the redhead physically was dangerous. They knew that much. They should just take her and throw her away someplace far away from Konoha. That way they'd be safe. One of the braver villagers broke his glaring and reached into his pocket, drawing out a kitchen knife. If it was some other scenario, people would have never called assaulting 2 3-year-olds brave. Or maybe they would have questioned why that guy was carrying a kitchen knife in his pocket. But this was an exception. So no one made any attempt to stop the man when he raised his knife into the air and aimed it at the 2 kids. Instead, they held their breaths in anticipation. Oh, they wanted to enjoy this. The twins saw him taking out the knife and pointing at them, and were frozen in their places. Frantic thoughts going through their little minds. Where was their mother? Where was the old man that left them there? The man threw the knife aimed for Naruto's head, but his aim wasn't really good. It could have been because he was drunk, or he just sucked in general. The knife headed straight for Kasumi, but Naruto couldn't let his sister get hurt. Moving with speed even he didn't know he had, or shouldn't have been possible for a 3-year-old, he used the only thing he had, his body, to protect his little sister. Kasumi stood there, horrified and frozen as some of her brother's blood got sprayed on her face, mixed with the tears she realized were falling from her eyes. "Oni-chan!" she screamed in horror. Naruto himself was in a world of pain. The knife wasn't too sharp, but his soft 3-year-old body wasn't really meant to be stabbed. Maybe, if he had been beaten regularly since he was born, he would have developed a higher pain tolerance, but their Kaya-chan was always there with them. Except today, she said they were running low on funds, and she had to go out on a mission. As it was now, it hurt like nothing else to have a rusty knife stabbed in his right shoulder. "Are you okay, Kasumi-chan?" he gasped out. Kasumi started sobbing as she held his bleeding body. It was her fault. If she had just moved out of the way instead of being frozen, or just taken that knife like she was supposed to, her brother would have been okay. But now, he was hurt. She didn't like this feeling. It was dread. But she didn't know what it meant at the time. Just then, there was a small shifting in the air before it thickened with pressure. Some of the civilians knew what the pressure was, being in a ninja village. Key, or killing intent. The man that had thrown the knife soon found himself lying on the ground. He looked up to see himself, without his head and a burning neck, falling to the ground. He realized too late that he was dead, so he didn't get to scream. Wouldn't have been able to anyway, as his entire neck was incinerated. The civilians were so terrified as the man's head fell to the ground that they didn't notice. When Kushina started massacring every adult that stood near the man that had thrown the knife, all they saw was a blur of red before everything went black in pain. It looked so easy. A neck snapped here, a man beheaded there, a sword going smoothly through the heart before the whole body being incinerated in red-hot flames from her sword. Within moments, the massacre had begun. The Hawkage arrived to stop Kushina. Too late for about 30 out of the 50 people in the park, though. "Stop this madness right now, Kushina," he ordered. That was the last thing the twins heard before their mother teleported them both to the safety of the Uzumaki compound to treat Naruto's injuries. She will solve the political mess with the Hawkage later. No one could get inside the compound except someone with their chakra keyed into the Finjutsu security array, or someone skilled enough to break through the array. And there was only one seal mistress in Konoha, Uzumaki Kushina. End flashback. Naruto grimaced as he remembered that event. That was the day when Kushina's mental image for the kind old leader had shattered completely. She wasn't stupid enough to think someone as experienced as Sarutobi didn't know what would happen if he left those two kids alone in a public park. And it had taken in only a few moments to arrive once civilians started suffering casualties, meaning he must have been watching everything from his pervert ball. She had depleted most of her savings in the first 3 years of the twins' lives. She couldn't trust anyone for babysitting them, and being the overprotective mother she was, couldn't leave them alone. She was having a bad feeling today, but despite her gut feeling she trusted the Hawkage and went to do the S-rank mission. Although within a few minutes she couldn't help it and came back to tell the kids one last time to stay safe. And what does she find? Her sobbing daughter and bleeding son, the Hawkage who was supposed to be watching them, nowhere to be found. Heck, they weren't supposed to be out of his office in the first place. Once the twins had told her it was the nice old man who took them to the park and left them there, everything started falling into place. After that, she started to pay attention to everything he does, and became perhaps the first person to actually be able to see through his facade, the true face of Sarutobi Hiruzen, a master at deception and leadership. That was the day she told her kids to not trust anyone except her, especially those who seemed too kind. There was a reason Konoha became the greatest shinobi village. It had great leaders who put the village above everything else. At the same time, they maintained the good guy image that the general populace loved and wanted in their leader. That was the reason the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju, had chosen Sarutobi as his successor instead of Danzo. Everyone knew that Danzo put Konoha above all and would ruthlessly slaughter anyone if the need came. But Sarutobi was exactly how a good leader was supposed to be in Tobirama's eyes. Exactly like everyone wanted him to be on the outside, yet their worst nightmare on the inside. A true ninja, a master at deception. That was Sarutobi Hiruzen, the person who had led Konoha to victory against insurmountable odds countless times, yet everyone thought he desired peace. The people thought he was a kind and relaxed old man who meant no harm to anyone, but they didn't know that he controlled their very thoughts about almost every major thing. He was a master at the art of manipulation, as good as Uchiha Shisui, except that he didn't need a bloodline that allowed him to implant thoughts in your head without you even noticing. He would do it anyway. The council thought he was a weak leader, and they could control him. But unknowingly, every single decision they made went exactly as he wanted. Everything that happened went exactly as he planned, except a few unpredictable events, and Kushina herself hadn't noticed how much he was controlling her family's life, till she had specifically paid attention to it. She had berated herself for days on being so oblivious to his real motives. The event had a major impact on Kasumi. Her love for her brother had grown to dangerous levels, always doing everything she could to make him happy, and she cried every time the scar on his shoulder was visible. It came to the point where Kushina had taken Naruto to get the scar surgically removed through advanced healing procedures. Just the sight of it reminded Kasumi how she had almost lost her brother, and because of her, he was going to die in her place. Even after the scar had been removed, it had remained in Kasumi's mind. Naruto knew his twin sister was not the most mentally stable person around when it came to him, though no one except Kushina and himself knew about it. A few harsh words from Naruto would be more than enough to completely and thoroughly break her. It was a weakness that could be deadly if their enemies knew of it. Someday, some enemy might cast an illusion on her in which Naruto was involved. It would be a wild guess, sure, but no matter how powerful his twin sister got, she would never defend herself against him. She would accept it if he killed her, believing she deserved it. She was not dumb, so it won't be easy to fool her into believing someone else to be Naruto. But there was always a chance that someone just might succeed. The odds were extremely low, but they were there. Naruto didn't know when it got to that point. Kushina didn't either. But they were both aware of this weakness. Their Crimson Princess had. That was part of the reason he hadn't restrained himself today at all. He wanted to see if she protested, or if she still had that dedication to him, even after years of being away. She had asked for it, yes, but after she had told him she was at her limit, he wanted to know if she will stand by her decision. She didn't say no, not even then, even after he had gone beyond what her limits were. Naruto didn't know what to do anymore. He didn't want to lose his sister like that. If an enemy is able to disguise themselves as Naruto well enough, they can just walk up to Kasumi, tell her to stand still and kill her. A ninja must never trust anyone blindly. Naruto trusted his family, sure. But if Kushina started to behave not like Kushina someday, then he would suspect something. Kasumi wouldn't. If she couldn't find anything physically wrong with Naruto, she would just accept his changes. What should I do, Hitomi-chan? The best way I know to get rid of a fear is to face it. Give her time. She will eventually learn her lesson. I hope it doesn't cost her life, though. I don't know what I will do if I lost her, he thought grimly. If I may suggest, you should make her face the reality, and soon before someone else does it and the damage is done. Hitomi suggested. Thank you, Hitomi-chan. I will do just that. He turned his attention back onto the current situation. Kasumi was glowing with joy, knowing that she can be a mother if she wanted to. She didn't think she was ready yet, and they had too many problems to deal with right now. But at least she had the chance in the future. Everyone else was looking at Kasumi oddly. Naruto decided to enlighten them, as it wasn't something that could hurt Kasumi now. There was a chance that she might have gotten Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and lost the ability to bear children. All of them got a shocked look on their faces, and then understanding settled on them. Natsumi shook her head. Even if that was true, I could have been able to conceive a test tube baby for you two. And you could still be a mother even if you didn't give birth to the child yourself, Kasumi-chan. But I'm glad you didn't lose the ability to do so. She smiled softly at her sister. Kasumi grinned at her. I know, and I will treat any of your kids like my own any day of the week. But I don't know. I wanted to have a baby with Anani-chan myself a few years from now. Others nodded in understanding. Most women dreamed of having a happy family and raising a child they could be proud of, spending their rest of their lives with the ones they love. For a part of that dream to be taken away before it could even begin would have been a hard blow. Naruto cleared his throat to get some attention. Now Kasumi-chan. I know what Natsumi-chan said, but since I have the bloodline myself, I would like you to know a few things. First of all, it is hard as hell to gain control of even one sub-element. Twice as hard as any one of the main elements. You might have 3, I have a lot more, but I still can't control any except paper and wood properly. This bloodline only lets you have the ability to use the sub-elements, but not the instinctual knowledge needed to do it, unlike the individual sub-elemental bloodlines. The bloodline user with a Hyoton bloodline just knows how to form ice, while you and I don't have a clue. We will have to keep experimenting, practicing, or maybe get help from some expert till we get it right. A scroll on how to do it will be good too. I wouldn't even dream about being able to use the corrosion element. I have tried and failed to combine 3 elements at once more times than I care to remember, Kasumi-chan. Me and Hitomi and finally given up on it, deciding that it was either not possible or not worth the effort. Maybe, if we find someone who has a bloodline for such a rare elemental combination, we can observe and learn, otherwise there is no chance. Kasumi nodded enthusiastically, hanging on to his every word. All right, Anui-chan, I got it. Naruto smiled at her. You must be pretty tired from our activities earlier. This got several blushes from everyone in the room. They had heard her screams and moans. It just wasn't possible for anyone within 1 mile to not hear them. Thankfully, the compound had a sound barrier around it as well. That didn't help the women inside the compound at all, especially Kushina, as she knew she might get her chance with Naruto soon. Kasumi looked curiously at her brother when he started looking at her mother oddly. Naruto gave Kushina a glance which only they knew what meant. It's time they know about that talk I had with Kaya-chan earlier. All of them. Roses are red, violets are blue. I don't own, so you don't sue. Chapter 13. A Mother's Love. Kushina had thought long and hard on how she should start a conversation like that with her daughters and Nina. In the end, she decided it would be best if the environment is calm and relaxing during that talk. And the only setting that came to her mind was their own private hot springs. Nina agreed to go there almost immediately, as she had been exhausting herself constantly trying to restore Uzumaki Fanjutsu archives. A break to the hot springs and a nice talk with the girls was as good an opportunity to relax as she could have hoped for. Natsumi and Kasumi didn't see anything wrong with it, so they agreed as well. Before they left, however, Kushina turned to address Naruto. Naruto-kun, I will talk to them about the little issue we discussed earlier, but meanwhile we shouldn't forget about our plans to get out of here. To make sure the old goat doesn't suspect anything, we will have to behave how we normally would. So we will complete as many missions as possible before the Chunin exams. We can just use clones for most of the chores. I want you to be ready in 2 hours to go on missions with us. Till then you can do whatever you want. You are even welcome to join us in the hot springs if you want. As the other girls blushed, Naruto just shook his head. I want you all to discuss it thoroughly and privately, without me there to influence your decisions. Once you are done, I will be waiting outside. See you in 2 hours, Kushina-chan. The change of her title didn't go unnoticed, but no one questioned him about it. He waved and headed to the private training grounds, while the girls headed for the hot springs. 3 of them wondering what Kushina and Naruto were talking about. Training grounds, Uzumaki compound. What are you going to do now, Naruto-kun? I don't know, but I was thinking of improving my Rinnegan techniques. They are just fine. You should focus more on your other talents. Being a one-trick pony was a bad thing in her book. If you knew only a few tricks and someone managed to counter them, you are fucked no matter how good you are unless you have something to fall back on. I don't really see much I could do there except maybe Mokuton and origami. I think I have reached my limit with origami unless I want to concentrate only on it. Like Conan. She gave him a mental nod. As much as I would like you to be able to completely master it, I think you are right. Fine. Why don't you practice on that Rasengan technique? You can use your Yogengan to make it work, if it is possible. If that doesn't work, there is no use of working on something impossible. Nodding, Naruto made 2 Kage Bunshin and sent them both away from him. If Kushina was right, then the technique might be explosive in nature, and he didn't want to be in its area of effect. One of the clones formed a Rasengan in his right hand, while the other stood in front of him as the target. Naruto concentrated on his Yogengan to perfect the technique as he intended, pushing more and more chakra into it. He observed as the Rasengan slowly, but surely got a slight green tint to it. He was channeling a massive amount of chakra into his Yogengan to change the nature of chakra in the technique, but it seemed to have hardly any effect at all. It won't be practical in a real battle to just throw away this much chakra to make his bloodline perfect the technique. But he could afford a little chakra exhaustion within the safety of the compound. An additional advantage would be that he could observe the technique that was being performed, gaining more insight on how to work on it. You should have started off with basic elements first, Naruto-kun. You're better with Eftaton, Suton, Katon, Doton, and Raten. Why channel Mokuton chakra? Wood is the calmest element, Ki-chan. Until I have a rough estimate on the destruction level of these techniques, I don't want to risk it inside this compound. I see, that makes some sense. However, I highly doubt you mother wouldn't have additional F-injutsu barriers between the training ground and the main building. Still, some precaution won't hurt anyone, I suppose. Naruto watched as the Rasengan slowly turned completely dark green. He frowned as he checked his chakra levels. It had taken almost 2 minutes to channel almost 90% of his entire chakra reserve to be able to make that thing. And given his Uzumaki heritage combined with partial demonification, his reserves were nothing to scoff at. It better be worth it. The clone held the green ball, which, unlike the normal Rasengan, was not glowing at all, though it seemed as if it had a pleasant floral scent coming from it. The dark green sphere also seemed to have some chakra flowing out of it in the form of 5 green spinning petals that were bent upwards, like a flower. Finally, Naruto gave the clone a mental command to attack the target. Mokuton, Resin Hana, would release, spiraling flower. As Naruto watched, the flower of green chakra got slammed into the target clone and nothing? What the fuck? The flower had just suddenly been absorbed by the other clone. Then, before he could go scream at the sheer uselessness of the technique, the clone popped in a puff of smoke, and a massive roar shook the ground. Giant trees erupted from where the clone had been standing, devouring both the clones and heading straight for him. Naruto watched in fascination as the grass below his feet grew longer in an effort to bind him down before he could escape. Amaterasu, you goddess of the sun. Phew, that was close. Yep, quite interesting, but not powerful enough in my opinion. Maybe so, Ki-chan. But I think the technique has room for improvement. Once I complete it, maybe it will be more powerful. Additionally, my clone's memories were quite intriguing. As the Rasen Hana had come closer to the clone, it felt attracted and tempted to touch it, get near it, or just stare at it, as if it was a rare flower with a unique and beautiful scent, too tempting to resist. Then, as the flower had been absorbed into it, it felt calm, at peace, and not at all alarmed like it should have been. Then, just as suddenly, the calmness was replaced by panic, as something began growing from within itself. But before the clone knew anything more, it was over. The clone popped. Hebe was somewhat impressed, but the technique had its shortcomings. No enemy will wait for you if you take that much time to perform the move. And a clone can easily be taken care of before it gets close enough to hit the target. But if you carry the technique yourself, you will get trapped in it too. So you have a lot of work to do before this technique is anywhere near battle ready. When you learn how to perform it without your Yogengan, it won't take as much chakra, and will be more useful, as well as faster to produce. I hope. Maybe then. Naruto nodded, but he didn't have enough chakra left to try it again, and he had to do missions with his family later too. Amaterasu had consumed another 1% of his chakra, leaving him with less than 10%. He took a few deep calming breaths, closed his eyes, and concentrated. He opened them to reveal his lens deactivated, and his Dojutsu flaring with high concentration of chakra. He had put another 5% of his reserves in the technique. Tozi, Yagas of nature,